I connected with Amar over LinkedIn. I think I got his interest that he's looking for a change, and I initiated a conversation with him. I briefed him about us, and I told him that to take things to the next level, I think I would want you to speak to him once. So basically, we are looking at a delivery manager's position, for all three countries put together, and that's where. So I think Amar, if you can start with just a brief about yourself, so that you possibly also aligned with what we have spoken, and then I think we can take things forward from there.
Yeah, sure. So thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Kasid and Mr. Santosh, both of you, for giving me the time to brief me about. So my name is Amarnath Gupta, and I am a 23 years IT industry experienced professional with 16 to 18 years of specific experience into delivery and the project management, and also that is for Microsoft Dynamics 365 practice. I started my career as a software consultant, then became a ERP consultant, moved into project management, and finally into delivery and the leadership position as well. I started my Microsoft Dynamics journey way back in 2006 with Microsoft Dynamics NAV. That time it was only Microsoft Navision, and then finally moved into AX 2012, and then as I'm here with the Dynamics 365. I have started working as a delivery manager from the company called NetSoft Group, which was a Saudi Arabian based company. Before that, I was working as a project manager and the senior program manager as well. My day-to-day responsibilities as a delivery manager, is not just limited for the project management or the project deliveries, but it is all about the people management, the P&L management for my Microsoft Dynamics 365 practices, as well as the risk and the resource allocation and the resource management. So, starting from this pre-sales activities with the customers itself, me and my team gets involved into, and I start my engagement. That means communication with the customer, being them as a prospect for us regarding their the project related requirements, their current business pain areas, sometime if it is required, because most of the time, my industry experience and the understanding and the deep domain knowledge of the customer's business or the prospect's business, that also helps us to prepare for the pre-sales and design our solution. So you can say one side of my functional consulting and the solution architectural habit or the nature with the skill sets of Microsoft Dynamics as a product, and my industry experience helps my team starting from the sales to delivery to work together, as well as my people management and the resource management skill sets helps me to understand my team members performance, working with them, resolving if there is any internal conflict within the organization or within this particular team, including the risk and risk management as well. This is my the entire career right now. I have spent altogether 10 plus years with the current company, and because there is a little bit of this investors entry into my organization, and then finally there are some strategical policy changes happening. It has happened last year as well, and right now also this is supposed to happen. So I believe that this is the right time for me to look for a new change. And while I spoke to Mr. Santosh and I came to know about the current job description, I could understand that, with your organization, I would be really able to fulfill my dreams of working in a challenging environment where I can take care of the entire delivery, starting from the customer engagement up to the customer relationship management. That means the end of the life cycle, including your financial P&L and of the delivery department as well. This is a very short brief about me.
Yeah. So Aman, I think if you can think of a scenario, where let's say one of the situations where you have taken a difficult decision, which was given the information and the facts that you had with you. So how did you choose? If there is a contradiction in terms of decision to be taken, how do you choose, and what was the decision? So, any such scenario that you can recover from the projects that you have handled?
There are several scenarios in terms of that, and because the idea or the current problem statement what you have really stated, it relates to me in two three different angles. One of the decision that I'm talking about, the internal decision. First of all, I would like to take you to the internal organizational decision. So I would give you the real example what has happened, that we were working on a project, and we had a team members of 14 people, and suddenly there was an additional new project came up, which was a crucial project. It was basically a Microsoft direct support for their they call it as a handicapped support. So the disability program, that's a Microsoft disability program. So we have got one sales partner there back in US, and what he did, that he obtained that project, and without any internal information, he suddenly pulled out six of our resources from our team member. That decision was taken. That created a major conflict and the major showstopper in our project, because 14 team members were already working, and suddenly six team members are being relocated to the new project without any prior intimation. That creates itself a bigger concern for the current project success. And so that kind of contradictory scenario, then I had to take this complete incident with my senior leadership. We get in touch with our CEO. We inform them the entire current situation. Then finally, both the sales partner, one of the project account manager who was handling their from US, from which the project was already going on, and then this particular new project account manager. Both of them, they met together. We had an internal stakeholders meeting. Then finally, the decision was taken, and that particular project, the new project which came up, that was finally postponed by 1.5 week, so that a new resource could be allocated, and then those old resources were returned back to the old project, and they continued to work on that as per the allocation. So those kinds of internal conflicts and scenario happens where the decisions are taken abruptly, one-sided, without informing the delivery team or without getting a consent from this organization, internal organization. That also creates a bigger issues. If you, and one of the another situation which came from the customer side, that with our Saudi Arabian customer. It was a Saudi Arabian customer, petrochemical conversion company. They are basically the subsidiary of Chevron Phillips USA. So they have set up a large factory in Saudi Arabia. They are into Al Jubail area nearby the Dammam. So what happened, that the project was already in, and the complete scope of work was also finalized, and after we had delivered and supported their localized payroll, suddenly they decided to go with some other external product, and they asked us that we must include integration of that particular localized payroll, which was a third party application, with our internal Dynamics 365, and we have to take back that payroll module itself. That was the decision directly conveyed to our CEO, because that was the large project. It was 3.46 million USD project. It was conveyed to our CEO, and that decision was, put on our delivery team, and we had to get into that. So in that situation, we had no other option, that because it's a key account and the project is already under progress. We are on the fourth quarter of the project, and the decision has come up from US body, the parent customer, and finally this decision has already been taken by our CEO. So that means there was definitely a concrete reason to retain the customer and win the customer loyalty and their happiness, and we had no other chance to, go back and try to get that decision retracted. Then in that situation, what we had did, we communicated our CEO as well as our finance department that there is going to be an additional project cost going to come up, and we did an additional effort estimation. We considered it as an internal change order, but it was a free of cost change order. We had no other option, and finally this was approved by our management, and then we proceed with that. So such kind of internal conflicts and scenarios can always continue to happen, and we have to live with that, and we have to manage it, and its transition in such a way that it is not going to create a rift or a conflict within the organization or within the delivery team.
Okay, I think both these scenarios that you explained, mostly, I think there was some decision that was taken, and then you tried to resolve, or listen or address, the decision that was taken. I would rather be interested if you can think of a scenario where, let's say, there was a conflict, and more so, let us say, external, and there are multiple options to choose from. And how would you decide of these multiple options which is the best? And how would you communicate that with the customer?
So whenever the decision comes as an external decisions taken and communicated to us, then we will have several other options also available. I
Yeah,
will
I
take.
think yeah, that probably would be the trigger. That how it starts is that a decision
Yeah.
is probably given to you, but how we resolve this is probably saying that it cannot just be a one-sided decision. Let's think about three scenarios, or these four options, and then so something like this where you propose something, have multiple choices, and then how do you choose between the multiple choices that you might have,
Yeah. So
or how
to
do you propose different choices? Yes.
Okay, so to first of all propose, I would come to the proposal of the choices. So to make a choice list for us, first of all, I would go back to my delivery team who is engaged with that particular customer and communicate with them internally if that is related to technical or any kind of a delivery related issues or delivery related decisions, and then finally I will make my list along with my delivery team, and then we'll communicate with my project management organization as well.
Let us
So
say, okay, I'll just make it a little bit more
yeah,
specific. It is
yeah.
not related to delivery. The customer itself is deviating, from what was originally agreed. Let us say you had agreed a plan that project would be done in a single phase. Now the customer says, no, it has to be done in three phases. Okay, and this is a decision because the way you had initially planned the project, it was not right. We cannot go in one single phase because there are multiple time zones. So each project has to be done separately. Let us say this is the scenario.
Exactly, this has happened with one of my project, which was the Amaral Baltic. It was a Netherlands-based project, and we had to implement that business center into the 12 different countries. But we had planned this to be happen in three phases only. But suddenly, because of their internal decisions and all that, they decided that those entire 12 implementation will happen in separately 12 different phases. That means only one by one every rollout will happen. They will not go with the simultaneous rollout because of the language and locality changes. So in that case, what happened that suddenly with that decision, I came to know that we are going to have the longer resource engagement that would have really costed us an additional cost of the resource engagement also. Apart from that, because there was a 12 different phases to be happen, then we had additional traveling cost also incurred into that. So what happened that I called up an engagement stakeholders meeting, our internal organizational stakeholder meetings. So in that finance manager, our PMO head, our customer engagement partner, who is again the US based person only, who normally we call internally a sales partner or customer engagement partner, and then our CEO. All five stakeholders we met all together. We discussed on all the scenarios, and then finally we came up with the solution that we have three choices. We made the three lists. So one of the list was that we have to agree with that and keep it silent and convey the customer that we are happy with the chance their new plan, And the only one thing that post go live 1 year of the AMC, what they were supposed to give us, that has to be extended to 3 years. That was the one option. The second option, what we decided, that we will go back to the customer and we will tell them that all right, we agree with that, but the additional cost of the traveling will have to be borne by customer. That was our second choice. And the third choice, what we prepared, that the traveling cost would be borne by customer, as well as this AMC will have to be extended from 1 year to 3 years. These three list of choices we made. Finally, it was boiled down, and then the final decision was taken by the customer engagement partner and my CEO, that we will go back to the customer, and currently we will ask them only to reimburse the additional cost of traveling and the additional resource engagement cost what is going to come up. And that what conveyed to the our customer, and finally customer agreed with that also. So the very important part is that whenever there is such kind of decisions or conflicts are appearing or happening, then we always need to take in confidence with our internal stakeholders, and especially our the leadership team, because leadership team are those people who are better able to decide on the behalf of the organization, and will be finally responsible for organizational benefits or the losses. We as a delivery manager will be responsible and are responsible for any kind of benefit or the damage incurred within the delivery organization, within our limitations of either you call it the delivery or deliverable or the project profit. But on the organization perspective, from the organization front, those decisions are finally needs to be taken by the senior leadership only, or the people responsible for the organization. And in that case, what happens, I always go back to the stakeholders and the senior leadership. I give them the options which I have brought in. We will have a logical discussions, and whatever finally comes out as a conclusion, that is finally prevails.
Okay, but these options. So in your setup right now, who negotiates this with the customer? The partner engagement manager, customer engagement manager, or
Yes,
do
customer.
you get to front end the customer?
No, we support our customers, but finally it is madam, taken care by the partner customer account manager.
Hmm.
Or we call
So
it
your
what we call it
negos.
sales partner.
Okay, so for you, mostly the negotiations in that sense are internal, and external negotiation is handled by these guys.
No. I would put it in a different way. What kind of protocol is made that the commercial decisions, commercial communications are to be done by our sales partner or the customer engagement partner, because the why they take care of the commercial thing, the reason behind that the sales is their KPI. So to maintain their KPI, they are very particular. From the US team, they are very much particular about all kinds of the commercial decisions. So though they
Can
do
you
not,
tell me what is your KPI?
my KPI, the project deliverability, and this MENA and the North Africa region, the profit and loss. So for all,
PNL.
so all, um,
PNL.
yes. So for all Middle East
Okay,
and
so
African,
in this example that you gave, can you just tell us that you have said that if the transport is taken, what about the cost of consulting?
so that's
Does
what
that affect your profitability?
Profitability, yes.
it affects our profitability, and that's what I informed you, that the final decision was taken, that we decided to go ahead with asking for reimbursement of traveling and the additional engagement cost. That's what I already explained, that we went with additional engagement cost, what you are referring right now, that the additional consulting fee and the traveling cost, all two.
No, because I have heard only consulting, the travel cost.
No,
I did not hear.
I had said, sir,
Okay, just
additional engagement
okay, just
cost.
getting into this thing. Tell me, you come from which domain?
I come from a manufacturing background. Basically, I'm an IT engineer. I have completed my engineering in computer science only. But my main domain experiences are the manufacturing, continuous manufacturing, and the real estate and construction both.
Okay. Now, can you just tell me within manufacturing today? Okay, let's look at things like demand forecasting that is there in the system, which is in Microsoft Dynamics.
Correct.
Yeah. So, what things are not available in demand forecasting in Dynamics, which are actually used in the day-to-day world?
In day-to-day world, majorly if you look at from this demand forecasting and this MRP plan, what is called planning, in that majorly one particular component for the manufacturing division is not available, which they always want to look for the lead planning, that what is going to be the deliverability of their raw material whenever they are planning for the particular product. Right now if you look at
No,
it.
no, I'm asking from a sales forecast perspective, from a revenue forecast perspective, that when I'm doing revenue forecast, what things are available in Dynamics which are not really happening in the real world scenarios. So demand forecasting that happens in Dynamics happens in a certain way. It
Right.
happens in a particular way, which in the real world dynamics doesn't work out. What are these things?
I'm a little bit confused about your question. If you said that real world
So
dynamic.
how a demand forecasting is run gets executed in Dynamics? Let me put the question very straightforward. How do you handle outliers?
Okay, so the demand forecasting within our Microsoft Dynamics 365, if you look at its format, then it takes care of the entire inventory planning, inventories which are going to come up in this given particular period of time. Then our forecast sales based on the previous 3 quarters or the 3 periods of the forecasting, as well as the cost of the production, which is going to
So
be part.
how in the previous historical data of sales that is there, there's so many outliers that are there. How do you handle? How does the outlier get handled?
Outliers are only handles with this completed sales, not with the opportunities. So within our Dynamics 365.
No, can you explain me that? What
Yeah.
is the
Yeah. So what happens that within our dynamic, not in dynamics, even in finance also, we have got realized revenue, we have got non-realized revenues. So it takes care of only realized revenues, not non-realized revenues. So consider for an example that in
no,
my.
historical data is anyways, historical sales is anyways realized. So
No.
so that's the realized revenue. I'm talking about how does the outliers are handled in Dynamics when it comes to historical sales data.
uh, I'm really not able to get into the you know the micro level of this particular question. I'm really unable to understand exactly what you are willing to ask. That's why I'm not able to answer this.
I'm asking how does what are the factors does Dynamics takes into consideration when it does sales forecasting?
Ah, now it is clear to me. So for the sales forecasting, Microsoft Dynamics takes care of the previous sales data. Into that particular sales data, it also takes care of this last number of opportunities or the number of sales opportunities created into the system, and finally how much was the realized revenue. So what happens that even if we created 10 millions of particular opportunities, and then finally we could compete only 76% or 80% of that particular opportunity finally, which got converted into the sales. So whenever we are doing a sales forecasting, then in the particular quarter or the particular period, Microsoft Dynamics 365 will give me that upper sales forecasted limit and the lowest sales forecasted limit both. So upper sales forecasted limit will be equivalent to my last sales forecast, and the lower sales forecast limit will be the completed percentage of the forecast. What happened actually into my previous historical period. So in that, if
So
we
one is historical period.
yes,
Second option factor,
the second factor.
historical sales. Yeah, historical sales. What is the second factor?
The second factor is that the current opportunities what we are created into the system.
Current opportunities means current confirmed orders.
Demand.
Current confirmed orders,
Okay,
but
confirmed.
not realized gains.
That's understood.
Hmm.
Then after that,
Then after that, once we generate, not we create, we once we
no, no,
gen,
no. What are the other factors?
there are a couple of other factors, market factors, but that doesn't happen in Dynamics.
Which, yeah, okay, market factors don't happen in Dynamics.
Yes,
Okay,
market
then
factors are not in
what
Dynamics.
happens in Dynamics? Which are the factors that happen in Dynamics?
In Dynamics, only the historical sales forecast is taken care. And
So within the historical forecast, within the realized revenue, how there are so many outliers in the data? How are the outliers handled?
that I have not gone into the detail, which I've not been handling that.
Okay. Uh, which industries in manufacturing have you handled? Which industries? It's micro. I'm talking about micro level.
On micro level, chemical manufacturing
Okay.
and textile,
And
chemical manufacturing, textile and apparel manufacturing, as well as food and bakery manufacturing.
food and bakery.
Right.
Okay. Tell me, how do you manage yield losses in because Microsoft Dynamics, has does not have a concept of handling yield losses.
No, we
How
don't
do
have.
you handle yield loss
In a normal
in business?
in
In business,
right, so in a normal business scenario, the yield losses are distributed across the different organizations. So what happens that the complete yield loss needs to be adjusted, or the cost of the yield loss to be allocated within the particular department, a specific list of department, especially that is considered as our loss of production, what normally we call it. Okay, and that loss of production is finally resulting into our final cost of product landing, what we call a cost of goods manufacturing. So those, some organization, I will give you the exact example of the company, that there was a US based customer. I would not like to take the name because still that particular NDA is going on. So that's exactly food bakery manufacturing company. They have decided that the yield losses to be allocated to the cost of production. So what is happening, that their final
no, no, I'm not interested in the results of the yield loss and where to be allocated. And I'm more interested to understand how do you capture yield loss? Because at the end of the day, in a situation like bakery, I said to you in the bakery, you can't, the ordering process goes through a backflush.
right.
Okay. Now, in that case, how do you manage different types of yield losses? Okay, or different types of yield losses, and what are the different types of wastages that you see,
So
and how
especially
do you manage?
right.
Yeah.
So especially for food and bakery manufacturing industry, when the retail is also included. So first, one kind of the yield losses are that non-delivery of the confirmed orders. So what happens that there are several orders which are confirmed by the customer but never got delivered, and the revenue was not recognized. The second types of the yield losses are that returns, order returns. So customer,
Can we stick to production related?
yes.
So let's forget the other part of it. Let's stick to production.
Okay. So within the production life cycle, the yield losses are the loss of this raw material, one type of, because in food and bakery,
What is the loss of raw material? Can you just tell me that?
yes. So in food and bakery manufacturing, what especially happens that a specific all kinds of raw materials are having a specific shelf life. So what happens that whenever they are brought to the shop floor and the manufacturing cycle is to be started, then what happens that some of this unused raw materials, it cannot be returned back to the inventory or to the stores. So what happens, that is considered as a loss. So that is the one kind of yield loss. The second is
No,
that
no, just hang on there. You're talking about shelf life,
no,
okay, or you're talking about
even
expiry?
shelf life of even raw materials,
No,
because
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I want to understand that because Microsoft Dynamics has got an option to
shelf
handle
life,
expiry.
yes, shelf life.
Yeah. So what is the difference between a shelf life and expiry?
No, shelf life and expiry is this legal term used that before, after that the particular product cannot be
No,
sold.
no. Are you saying that shelf life and expiry are same?
No, both are different. I'm talking about.
Okay. Can you just tell me the difference?
Yeah. So expiry are only those products which are into particular inventory available for sales. It will have the expiry date, so that after that particular product will not be showing into the inventory, or that means it will not be available for the sale itself. But the shelf life is that any product which is going to be within that particular inventory for how many months or how many days or in a specific period of time. After that, it needs to be replenished.
But that's also expiry, right?
No, expiry are only for those inventory products which are available for sales. But
And shelf life is not available for
no,
sale.
shelf life is the usability of a product. Shelf life can be of my particular manufacturing device or the equipment or the machine also. Uh,
So shelf life does not have an expiry.
Shelf life doesn't have an expiry. Shelf life doesn't have an expiry.
Okay. Next question. Uh, you have a situation. You are the head of delivery, and your targets are not met.
Okay.
Yeah, your sales targets are not met, which means your delivery revenue targets are not met. Okay. The sales is giving coming to you, and he has and they have given you they've got a deal for you, which is almost around let's say $500,000 deal. Yeah. But the problem with this deal is you are okay. The way how the deal is set and the way how the scope of the deal is set, it is going to yield in absolutely a loss of let's say 2-3%. Yeah. What would you do? Take the deal? Leave the deal?
No, that deal will not leave that. We will take that deal, but we will let our stakeholders to know that this is not the way, or we are not
No,
estimate.
who are the stakeholders now? I'm just hearing this case of
Right,
stakeholders,
right.
because I want, you know what, I require a person who is part of the management. I don't want another stakeholder in between. So the stakeholder is the delivery head.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that particular term, but within our organization, whom we call the stakeholders, who are responsible for the entire life cycle profitability of that particular project. So that is why within us, within your organization, definitely the delivery manager is going to be the sole stakeholder. But in our current organization, the customer engagement partner and the delivery head both are the stakeholders for that. So in that case, what happens that we clearly inform our customer engagement partner that this particular deal is not profitable for the delivery, and we would like them to revise that particular project.
Okay, revision is not possible. Let me rephrase the question. You are, let's say, the delivery director, okay, who is having running its own individual profitability. The sales director is running his own individual profitability. You both are having two different, you are a peer positions that are there. So that's from the organization structure. Report both of you reporting to the CEO of the
Okay.
company.
Okay.
Okay, so both of you are responsible for two different P&Ls, which has got no link with each other. Of
Okay.
course, their sales are dependent. You are dependent on the sales and all. So that's the organizational layer that is there. Now, when it comes to understanding that, okay, now coming back to the question itself, you have this deal. this is the case, there is no going back to the customer. It's a take it or leave it situation. What would you do in a situation where your target is not met? You are short of almost around 50% plus in terms of your targets. So what would you do?
In that scenario, exactly, being personally, I will not take the deal, or I will take the deal only with the final written approval from the CEO that this particular deal to be
No,
taken.
no, CEO is not in the picture. It is your
Okay,
call.
okay. Then in that condition, I am not going to take that deal.
Why
Now,
is that?
yes. So the reason behind that even if I am short falling to meet my target, my this 3% of this lost deal will reduce my profitability. So of
Hmm.
course I can have the another opportunity to meet the target, or even in case if I am not going to meet the target in all such scenarios or in all conditions, still I am maintaining a, just take an example, the 30% of the profitability. This 3% of the profitability loss of this particular project may impact my 10 to 12% of project profitability. So instead of reducing my project profitability, I would rather sacrifice to be with not meeting my target. That's the one hypothetical scenario. The second but the second actual scenario is that even the CEO will come in and then he will ask that, all right, no problem, it is a lost project, but directly I cannot deny to deliver any project if the sales partner or if the sales department is handing over one project. But in the real scenario, that I'm talking about the now real scenario, then I cannot deny that, because the only reason behind that if the project is already closed, the deal is closed, now how this particular project is going to be delivered if the delivery department is not taking? Do we have a third party offshore development company or offshore development partner to whom we are going to give? Not. And even if this is there, that our internal delivery team is only going to take care of that. So in the real world scenario, even if this will be a loss, I'll have to take it, because once as a company the deal is locked, then it needs to be delivered. Yes, that is why I
No,
told you.
I think you have been a bit quicker in response. I did not say the deal is locked. I said that the deal is not signed yet. It is a option that you have got saying that it is either you take it or leave it. So this is what I said. You
Oh,
can take the deal or you have a choice of leaving it because it's not yet signed.
my one word answer would be I will leave it.
Okay, fine. Santosh, I'm done. If you want to continue.
Okay, just one question from my side, and specific to dynamics and production. When we
Yes.
talk,
All right.
there are two concepts. One is MRP,
Yes.
which is how we plan, how much
Right.
material to be ordered,
Right.
and there is something called as master planning.
Yes.
What is the difference?
The master planning is for my production planning. Okay. Master planning gives me my probable and going to happen schedule for my production executions, all my production orders.
Is MRP past part of master planning?
MRP is certainly part of the master planning, because the reason behind that MRP gives my inventory planning, but in real world scenario it's very difficult to even include that. MRP can handle the delivery lead times from a specific and the preferred vendor also. So what happens for the different types of inventory items, we can have the preferred, just just I'm sorry, yeah, for the different types of items or different items, we can have the preferred vendors, and then with the preferred vendors we will have the specific lead time of all the items also. So when we run MRP, if we run MRP in its full of essence with the complete data, it can give me my inventory availability schedule. Based on that, my master planning also will work. But in general scenario, normally organization are not able to reach up to that extent. That's what is the
Hmm.
reality.
Correct. And master planning, when I'm scheduling my resources and I'm scheduling my production orders, and let us say that I have a requirement wherein, and let us say I'm into food manufacturing, I have a need where certain flavors should run on certain days, because obviously flushing the machines
Right.
and
Exactly.
how can does Dynamics support this thing, which is
Yeah.
how?
Every workstation, or you can say bay, the way you want to call it will have its running time. It will have its availability time also available. And then also, even with the resources, whatever whoever resources are going to work on that particular bay or the station, that will also have their shift time. Now what happens, that Dynamics 365 master planning will be even able to tell me the availability of that particular workstation or the particular equipment on which this particular chemical processing or this particular flavor processing is going to run up, and based on its availability only it will automatically schedule. So consider for an example that we have got.
No, I'll clarify my question. Same machine,
Yes.
okay, and the same workstation. When I'm planning, I want to plan certain orders based on the flavor only on certain days of the week.
It will be taken care by that also.
How? How? What is the setup? What is the configuration that can be used?
Okay. So for that, first of all, we need to create the configuration of that particular equipment, that equipment runtime. So in the runtime schedule, we need to give
Oh,
the.
runtime doesn't change, right? Runtime, the capacity is the same. Capacity does not change. All I'm saying is, when I'm scheduling my orders, certain orders based on flavor are combined together and are scheduled on certain days of the week. Let's orange juice will only work on Thursday.
Exactly. So
How
so
will I configure this?
so
Just give me, I am looking for one name that you have this thing that you do on the calendar and on the work center or workstation. And that's how it will, even if it is available on previous days, it will not schedule these production orders.
Right. So for that product workstation availability, there is a workstation availability option available. In particular field name, I'm not able to tell you exactly. If I'll open Dynamics right now, I can tell you that for every workstation we have the scheduling. So in that scheduling calendar, we can define the
How does
availability.
the workstation know which items to combine together?
That is with our route planning. Not only just with that particular workstation, we cannot directly tell that this order to be combined. That can only be done through our what do you call the route planning.
Okay,
I'll put
fine.
I'll put an example. I'll put an example. It is exactly with that specific industry which in food and bakery it happened very less, but especially in the jewelry manufacturing it happens all the time. So that multiple production orders to be combined all together. So what happens that for combining multiple production orders into one single, that we have even created a custom bulk production order upload system also.
No, no, okay. So, property based scheduling and planning, have you heard of this thing?
Property based scheduling, we have heard of this, but I have not
What is
used it.
that?
I have not used it. As I told you, I have not used it.
It is used for this scenario only, where you set a property on the item and you also set a property on the calendar. And that's how it knows that these properties, which could be flavor, which could be color, which could be size, or whatever, will only be scheduled on the calendar on these dates.
Would you mind just telling me, because I'm gonna definitely check this and
Just check on the calendar, there is a property, and even in the item, when you look at the work timings, you will see property.
okay, walk timing. All right, I'll check that.
Yeah.
I,
All right,
because
Amar.
this information really will help me to gain my knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Amar. I think
Thank you.
we will just internally discuss and let you
All
know,
right.
what our feedback is, and accordingly
All
we
right.
will figure out the
Thank
next
you.
steps. All right.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time,
Thank you,
and
sir.
yeah, good day to you.
Bye bye.